Hi guys, so this is my review on Guardian of the Dead by Karen Healey. I finally finished this book after weeks and weeks and weeks of reading it. I read it in lots of fragments. It was very segmented. Some days, if I read anything at all, I'd read maybe like 2 pages, if that. So, I should say that all of my thoughts on this book are very much influenced by the fact that I read it in sections over such a long period of time, and that always makes you think differently about the pacing and the construction of the plot and stuff. And so anything I say that's really negative in that department it was my fault for the way in which I read it. I don't think it is actually the case with the writing at all. But I did really enjoy this book. I think I appreciated the originality of it. It was like, that aspect was fantastic. The fact that it does incorporate so much cultural lore, folklore and myth from the Maori people of New Zealand and different tribes, and all of this stuff that I honestly had no idea about. I know some Maori terms, New Zealand being not too far away from Australia, so I thought I knew some things, but thank goodness there is a glossary in the back if it's really needed. I don't think it overpowers the story at all though, but it just adds this ethnicity, this flair of stuff, and it gives a new slant to things that we are familiar with, but they just have a different, I guess, role in this particular folklore. So it is essentially a fae story. It is concerning fairies, although they're never called that. But it was really, really interesting, and it follows our protagonist. Her name is Ellie, and she is going to a rather fancy boarding school on the South Island of New Zealand, and she's not much of a social person. She has one best friend whose name's Kevin, and they're very close. I love their friendship. And she has a crush on a boy named Mark, who she's never really spoken to before. She just likes him from afar. He's very beautiful and aloof and things. But I should say from the outset that I did actually like Mark, so don't think I'm dissing him. And they have an encounter one day, very random one, and then everything starts getting seriously weird from then on. And it does take her a while to work stuff out, but there is a reason behind why she's slow on the uptake, and it's all very bizarre. So it wasn't one of those instances where you can connect the dots so much quicker than the protagonist and you're getting so frustrated because they're so damn thick and they can't work it out. I could really empathize with her confusion because I was seriously confused for the majority of this book, being kept in the dark. And as you slowly find things out, it is interesting to realize the extent of deception and covering up that's been going on. And her relationship with Mark is actually quite interesting, and there's a lot of sincerity to it, even though what I like and what a lot of readers seem to have hated about this book is the fact that Ellie is a majorly angry, moody, bitchy kind of person. That is her personality, and she apologizes for it at times, but other times she's completely unapologetic and just doesn't care what people think in terms of how she comes across and how abrasive she can be. And even though you don't like it necessarily because she is such a cow sometimes, it's so entertaining to read, and it's so honest. It's one of those things where you're reading about someone who is just really 100% human. She's not meant to come across as bad, or good for that matter. It's just someone who is how we are, and it's one of those instances like when I read Harry Potter in the books like Order of the Phoenix, where he was being really moody and volatile and stuff, and everyone seemed to hate that and was critical of it. I was thinking it was such a great thing because it felt human. It was the kind of stuff that we feel and do and think and say every day, but we don't like to acknowledge it because it's not that nice. But we do it anyway, and Ellie just felt like that to me. She also reminded me a lot of my sister. I haven't told my sister that, but yeah, when I was reading her I saw my sister in my mind a lot, and so she felt very familiar to me. And so her interactions with her friends and with Mark, you're kind of thrown off every now and then because she's fighting with them all the time and she's purposely picking fights with them. Mark especially, and they say, she says really horrible things to him a lot, but it's kind of, when you'll call your best friend a bitch for fun sort of thing. It's lots of joking and banter. which is really cool to read. And yeah, stuff happens, there's lots of things going on. Because I did read in fragments, I was getting seriously confused towards the middle and end of the book, trying to go back and find what was going on and what all the references were. But again, that was my fault for the way in which I read it. But overall, the pacing was quite impressive. It felt a little rushed towards the end, but then again, I don't see how it could have been otherwise given the events that were occurring. I will warn everyone that there is a very, very bittersweet ending, so if you think that it's going to all turn out rain and sunshine, I will let you know right now that's not the case. That's all I'm going to say. But I do like how it was handled. There's some stuff that, so I have to be careful with what I say, but something major happens at the climax of the book that at this moment is very socially relevant, particularly in everything that's been going on in New Zealand just this year. With the earthquakes and things, so I'll say that much. I was getting really upset with it. But again, like, what really made this for me was the folklore and the adherence to different aspects of Maori culture, and it was such a learning experience. And I love that Ellie also was an intelligent girl and knew a lot about folklore and myth in general, and that was what she was passionate about. She loved the classics. She liked to study classical Greek mythology. That was her passion for what she wanted to do at uni and things. So yeah, I really did enjoy this book, and I would give it I'm tossing between a 4-star or a 4.5 star, so I'll say a 4.3 star rating out of 5. And I do recommend it because it is something different. It's quite refreshing to read. And yeah, if you can just get your head around all the Maori terms that are used and stuff, the glossary does help, so it is there, and use it. But there are a lot of other terms you have to just log away and remember. But yeah, I did find it very entertaining. I'm sad though that I have this cover, because I'm not sure if it's the US paperback cover and hardcover has a white mask on the front of it, and that is possibly a good deal more significant than this cover. But you know, this one works too, and it's still pretty cool looking, but I do kind of wish I had the mask. But anyway, this is Guardian of the Dead by Karen Healey.